Staging an authentic wagon train in 1982 was no easy task, but then it wasn't supposed to be either. Designed as a continuing program to strengthen the family unit and develop cooperative attitudes, this 4-H wagon train concept met with tremendous success. For the 114 youth and adult pioneers that completed the 144-mile trek from Hillsboro to Canida, the year-long program changed their lives in definite ways. And not only did it impact their lives, but it also affected the lives of scores of friends, family members, and supporters that assisted in many ways. Dubbed as 4-H Breakaway 82, the actual trip was staged July 10 through 18 of 1982. However, it really didn't start then. The planning actually began 2 years earlier and really got into full swing during late 1981 and early 1982. In addition to all the logistical arrangements, these modern-day pioneers learned about group dynamics, survival, food preparation, basic outdoor skills, and much more. Coordinated by the OSU Extension Service, every aspect of this Challenge Adventure program focused on education and learning. The dust has settled on the original trip, however the memories will linger on. For many, it will not be the conflicts, nor the rain, nor the dust that will be remembered. Rather, it will be the feelings of friendship and fellowship, the spirit of triumph in overcoming some very difficult terrain and weather, the confidence in knowing that I can, and the warm feelings shared only by living with friends, family, and nature. You can be sure there will be another 4-H wagon train in the future, and whatever course that train takes, the goals of the 4-H wagon train will not be lost. It was often said on this trip that we walk softly on the land, we will take only pictures, and will leave only footprints. I salute these modern-day pioneers.
Of our 4-H trip that crossed the White Mountains with one great big dip, with 6 back urchins and mules that were fine, and 52 dudes spread out all down the line. Singing with 6 big black urchins and mules that were fine, and 52 dudes spread out all down the line. Now let's sit about, I want you to get in on the 6 big black urchins, comes back every time. Here we go. Okay, 2 big black shires that are owned by Ike Bay. They don't pull a thing, but they eat lots of hay. Got it fine, and 52 dudes spread out all down the line. Sing to run like, ooh, run like, ooh, run like, eh. Sing to run like, ooh, run like, ooh, run like, eh. With 6 big black birds, runs and the mules that were fine, and 52 dudes spread out all down the line. Or
I always make my line down about, you know,
Yeah, we have one more.
we're all hearts. This wagon's all hearts, so we're going to have our heart. I took 2 sets of spreaders that I had at the house and took them apart and made one set of them. The others they were stripped a little bit. So the morning before I left, I had to sit down and had to compete with some of these other teams around here. So I thought, my golly, and then I got to looking and I thought, hell, I got to have a heart for this outfit too. So I stopped and made my heart up. Okay, put the gun running. Okay, let's have these lines. Put the lines up here. Back here, boy. Back. Back. Back up. Oh, Dick. There, Dick. Back. Back, Dick. Ooh. Okay, drop the tree. There you go.
Drop 3.
Uh-huh.
Put that in up there.
That's right. That's what you do. The inside one always first. That way you don't get hung up in your horse. Ooh. There we go. 1, 2, and the 3. Slip back through.
Even. That isn't 3. You got one too many.
Yeah, that's good.
1, 2, 3.
And I believe we're the first wagon hitch this morning.
With 6 big blackbird drums and midfields that were fine, and 52 boots spread out all down the line. Horners, old Suffolks, they didn't pull a lick. You push on the reins and you give them a kick. With 6 big blackbird drums and mules that are fine, and 52 boots spread out all down the line. Singing to run-lie, ooh-ra-lie, ooh-ra-lie, singing to run-lie, ooh-ra-lie, ooh-ra-lie. With 6 big blackbird drums and mules that were fine, and 52 beats spread out all down the line. Now this verse is something special to me, because there's one guy in the outfit that I just couldn't believe it. Now there was old Morris, the old Canton cat. He hugged all the ladies and gave them a pat. That was fine, and 52 screwed us out all down the line. Singing to run-lie, ooh-ra-lie, ooh-ra-lie, singing to run-lie, ooh-ra-lie, ooh-ra-lie. With 6 big blackbird drums and mules that were fine, and 52 beats that were spread all the line. Now we made the cotton picker trip over the mountain. We knew we could do it, so listen to this one. Now we are ready, we've got all the gear. Let's put her together and do her next year. With 6 big blackbird drums and mules that are fine, and 52 dudes spread out all down the line.
So my husband was with me on the trip, and so far for us it's going really well. We're having a good time. Sure, there's been some really hard places like Tuesday night when we had all that rain, and it's giving us a good chance to find out some things about ourselves and observe how we react under pressure, and observe we're really people watchers, and it's really fascinating to see how people react under pressure too, and how we all pull together and keep our positive attitudes, and that's probably been the most interesting part of the trip for us. Oh, here's Channel 4.
Downhill
around the corner.
About that angle.
Yeah. Our entire trip is 4 miles downhill and around the corner.
About that angle.
Remember, no matter how bad, it's only 4 miles and downhill.
Downhill and around the corner.
You forgot around the corner. Just around the corner.
Just around the corner?
It's 4 miles from the fairgrounds to Canita, and it's all downhill.
Around the corner.
Woo! You need me to hold on to it.
Yeah. Stand on it. I'll show you what you've been doing to me.
3 minutes, and there I am. Through to the kitchen!
Beans are right there. You'll have to wait for the
Here you go. Get your dish up here. Quick.
Hello, this is Channel 4H. How do you like the food?
Real good. Boy, you get hungry here, you eat almost anything.
Okay.
Just right where that brown piece is, right there in that sand. That is where it is to be.
What are you down here?
Yeah, make one, I bet you.
I know the ladies swallow.
I know.
How are we doing for dropouts? You can fill up about the
We had
We have a fire over here. Conditions are much better than they were last night. Fire is even burning. And so I would like everybody to, in your wagon family, make sure that everybody that has a horse that participates and get your volunteers over there. You don't have to necessarily have a horse here. If you're a horse, you know about horses and you can somewhat knowledgeable, be sure and volunteer. If you don't, get somebody experienced to go with you. It's a good time to learn.
One thing, this is personal experience, you got somebody learning, it sure helps if they have somebody who knows what they're doing with them. You don't know how close you came at MacIver Park to losing the whole works.
Well, I could suggest the first one or two to throw in, but yeah, each family is responsible, and they should pick a person who knows what he's doing, and then a couple helpers, because they have 1 hour for that family.
That life. We sing for happiness. And we enjoy singing because every time we sing, we pray. Whether it's a worship song.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The wagon train was a really good learning experience. This was my first time ever camping, really.
And being with so many people for so long, I learned how to control myself when I got really tired.
Oh, is the hour when we must say farewell. Soon we'll be driving far across the hills. When we depart, it will not be the end, for we will ever be the wagon friends.
Right there's a ball.
Back in time to a simpler existence. They put on pioneer garb, they hitch up the horses, and they travel across the mountains on a real-life wagon train.
The year is 1858. A surveyor named John Abbott and his party, fleeing from Indian wars in eastern Oregon, carve a path over the Cascades into the Willamette Valley. Then, a wagon train attempts the same hazardous journey, only this time in the opposite direction, starting in Hillsboro 124 years later. So begins a 9-day, 144-mile trip, first through the suburbs of Portland, then into the foothills, over the mountains and across the high desert to the final destination, Canida. Wagon master Ron Johnson often wonders what this trip would have been like in 1850.
Well, the first time that thought occurred to me was when we got all of our permits in from the DEQ and the state highway and the various municipalities, and we have a notebook 3 inches thick with just permits in it. And we felt that if the pioneers had to file all the permits, we'd probably be still nothing but coyotes and Indians running around out here. But there's a lot of work done, and before we got to go, because we were wondering really if we were going to be able to make it, if it was feasible or not. And the day the wagons rolled out of Hillsboro, we knew we were going to make it.
6 days later, the sun rises on a wet and bedraggled group of pioneers. They have endured heavy rains, muddy roads, and steep grades that have never been traveled by horse and wagon.
I knew things were going to improve, because that next morning, about 4 o'clock, I heard people laughing and singing, and I thought, they've all flipped out. So I got up and to see what was going on, all wet and soggy. Here they were all standing around the fireplace, and the fire was going. Morris, a big teamster we got down there, he was telling jokes, and they were just having a great time. I said, well, my gosh, I think we're going to make it.
The Friendship Circle is an important daily ritual, but it's 7 o'clock and time to hitch up and roll them out.
One for the road.
Well, I found an ad in the paper, and I thought, wow, it's really neat. So I told my husband about it, and he told me I would never be able to make it or to top it through something like that. And that really persuaded me twice as much to go on and show him that the women can do it all by themselves, so too.
These folks have different reasons for making the trip. They vary in age, background, and pioneer savvy. But after 6 days on the trail, no one's a beginner, and they all share certain traits.
If you're a grouch, you've got no place on this wagon trip. You've got to be the type of person that can dish it out and take it.
Someone who drives a team of horses is called a teamster. There's a lot to know, but the basics are 3 little words: gee, ha, and whoa.
If I want to bear to the left, I draw on this line a little bit. If I want to bear to the right, I draw on this line a little bit. So notice how the team pulls over. And I can pull them back. And, of course, everyone knows when you want to stop a team, you just say, whoa, and just pull back slightly on both lines.
But as the day gets hotter and the dust thicker, no one needs to tell the horses that it's time to take a break. After thirsts are quenched and appetites fulfilled, it's time to mount up. This is no mean feat for one pioneer, so she's developed an unorthodox yet effective technique.
They don't sweat, they don't get excited, and they'll go up hills and never sweat a drop where the horse will lather. They take care of themselves. A mule, he thinks himself is number one. Number one. I don't care about anybody else. I'm number one. I'm going to take care of myself.
Chris Christensen is a mule skinner who's willing to share the secrets of the trade with a would-be teamster, or rather, teamstress.
You see, she isn't married, and I'm not either. I'm trying to convince her. Get in love with the mules first.
After 15 miles of hot, dusty trail, the wagon's finally near the camp at Log Springs. After the wagons are circled, the first concern is for the livestock. Everyone knows that this is the last camp because tomorrow the train arrives in Canida. They return to civilization gladly, but with a new respect for the land and the pioneers of another era who first traveled it.
Oh, I think it's gotten me closer to some real things. Not be concerned with so many petty things that I thought were major things in my life to complain about. A lot of wonderful things in this country. Nice to get close to them again.
Well, we're told that the group intends to take the trip again next year. So if you're interested, you will have 12 months to get rid of the family car and invest in your own convertible 2-horsepower Conestoga. We'll return with more from the Oregon Historical Society. More information about their display here.
Final word on the world around you. Stay with Channel 8 for News 8 tonight. Ralph Wengy and Kathy
did, making slow but steady progress over mountains and prairies and relying on a covered wagon for shelter and transportation. Well, some 100 Oregonians recently had a chance to sample the pioneer life for themselves, as David Gillen reports.
I ride an old paint, I lead an old dance. I'm going to Montana to throw a hula dance.
They may not be going as far as Montana, this hardy group of modern-day pioneers, but they are embarked on a journey that's remarkable nonetheless. This is Breakaway 82, an attempt to lead a 19th century wagon train through 20th century Oregon. A 9-day, 144-mile trek from Hillsboro to Warm Springs. The whole thing was dreamed up by Oregon State University's 4-H program. The idea, to promote personal growth by exposing these riders, drivers, and walkers to the challenges of the frontier, and along the way, to have a little fun.
I guess it's kind of a dream that most everybody seems to have at one time or another. And as we kept looking at activities and programs, it kept coming back to some trek across Oregon. And it looked like a wagon train was really our best one.
But actually bringing it all off took a lot of work. It's not every day that a convoy of 8 authentic wooden wagons, 70 horses, a couple of mules, and 112 men, women, and children crosses a U.S. highway. It took 2 years to plan the logistics, obtain all the permits, and just convince people it could be done at all.
We had to overcome some real monumental challenges. A lot of people everywhere we went said, you can't do it, it won't work. So psychologically, we had to really overcome those.
But overcome them they did. Breakaway 82 was on its way. We caught up with the wagon train just east of Clear Lake. It was day 6 of the trip. Wagon Master Ron Johnson lent me his horse Puzzles and told me to restart the convoy in the old time-honored tradition. Wagon ho! Our journey took us along the old Abbott Trail, lending a note of authenticity to this frontier experience. Still, our wagon train did carry along some modern conveniences that might have intrigued the early settlers.
You really couldn't ask for a better way to see Oregon. On this trip, everybody has a chance to sit back and enjoy the scenery. You can't beat the gas mileage either. Come on, Puzzles.
Finally, some 14 miles later, the wagon train reached its destination for the day, the Camas Prairie, and began setting up camp.
Okay, over there, Dad's trying to put one between the trees right over there.
Camp, a time for horses and humans to kick back and relax. As the sleeping bags and tents and food came out, members of the wagon train had a chance to reflect on how the trip was going.
You know, you'd think that it'd just be a bunch of people going here and there just trying to get everything done. But actually, everybody's become kind of like a family. It's been pretty neat.
This feeling of togetherness, we were told, was a direct result of what had happened on day number 4, when the wagon train braved miserable weather and a tough uphill climb.
We got up on the mountains there, and the sun went in, and the clouds came in, and all of us were just, we were cold. It started to drizzle. It started to rain. We were totally drenched, and we had nothing to put on to keep us warm. It was awful.
And it was just imperative that everybody start to pull together. And they did, without exception, bar none. People shared their coats, their ponchos, everything with those that were riding on the outside. And it was a real natural high in a lot of ways when we got in.
But overcoming obstacles is what this adventure is all about. 112 people began the trip in Hillsboro. Only 8 had to drop out along the way. So, by anyone's standards, Breakaway 82 was a howling success.
It's been an experience I don't think any of us are ever going to forget.
And after David got over his saddle sores, he said it was a great trip.
Few realized how very much that first step into the 4-H wagon train would impact their lives. 161 kids and adults joined together in 1983 to share a new challenge, away from a busy, often artificial world. The goal was not to settle into new lands. Rather, it was to get breathtakingly close to nature, to touch deeply with life, to share a slower pace, and to find out what we are truly made of. This newer localized 4-H program was developed in 1980 to provide an avenue for families and individuals to grow together in a shared learning environment. Coordinated by the OSU Washington County Extension Service, the wagon train joins other 4-H programs in teaching youth and adults the basic skills necessary for living in the 20th century. The July 9 through 16 trek took the 161 pioneers, 9 wagons, and 68 horses over the coastal range to the shores of the Pacific. However, they moved not only over the land, but more importantly, traveled through a wealth of experiences that will not soon fade. The value of struggling with wagons over hills, across rivers, in all kinds of weather, give one a new appreciation for our heritage and for what we have. This program is not necessarily teaching young people to grow to be wagon masters, but rather it teaches confidence, compassion, and cooperation. Equipped with these skills, participants will be better prepared to cope with modern-day stresses and will value each precious moment of life. These pioneers are now brave in a new way, and they are friends in a permanent way. It was often said on the trip that we will walk softly on the land, taking only pictures and leaving only footprints. I salute these modern-day pioneers.
Being way here.
Come on, just keep moving.
How many of you have seen an Indian today when we come in? Good. He was chief of the Tillamook Indians, and he wanted to know why we were here on his land. And boy, I tell you, I had to do some thinking because I'd forgot why we come for a minute. But I told him we come because this is a 4-H program, and we come for our little papooses that we were bringing with us, so that they would know what pioneering was all about. I think from her comment they was planning on eloping. But she told a close friend, and you know how that goes. They just tell it all. Look at here. Look at what we have here. And we even have a candle bearer. How do you like that? Are you old enough for this?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. We've all known Alice from last year, those of us that traveled with her, and those that are traveling with her this year. We know that Alice is there every inch of the way. There's never a time when she's not there to help us. I believe she was at the end of the train today.
That's when it broke.
Maybe that's it. You're riding in front tomorrow.
Don't do that. The 3 wagons she was in broke down. Every one of them something happened.
I'm going to eat less tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you what. We really have to know if you're going to treat Alice right. You will? And that's a promise. Now, that's over 150 people here heard this promise. Yeah, and she will tell us if you don't. She'll report back at our meeting after the wagon train this fall. Yeah, listen to her, she's bribing him already. Okay. By the power that I have as being wagon train master of the Oregon Territory, and with the promise that you've made to treat her right, and you to obey him, do I detect a women's lib here? Scratch that from the notes. Don't take that. You want us to cherish and love and help him every chance you get. That covers it. Okay, I pronounce you man and wife. And you have to kiss the bride. Okay.
Okay, is there any truth to the fact that there may be, because so far everything that's happened, I've been on the wagon when it happened. I'm known as kind of the jinx, and I can jump out real quick because when I hear some funny noise, it's time to go.
Event that you can think of? Oh, I was with Alice when the wagon broke on this train.
Seems like every time we get near a wagon that Alice is in, it breaks down.
What do you think Alice is feeling about that?
I think Alice feels now
Miller. And I'm Joan Woolway. What will you remember most this year? Why? Greasing the wagon wheel? Same here. Why? because it got grease on everything. We had to do all the wheels, and it had just stopped raining, and the sun was coming out, so it was a lot of fun, and got to talk to a lot of people while doing it.
Back in this way. Beautiful girl. We are winners. Our team is
Jim and Jeff Nolte.
Okay, what did you hope to get out of the trip this year, and why did you come?
Well, for fun and events and working with other kids and being around, having experience with horses.
Cool.
Whoa.
That's right. Okay. Let me move them over there.
What do I do with this?
Well,
I'll be led around. Would you rather be led? Yeah. Okay. Are you going to come in again? I'm here. You come along too.
This side.
Hey, you want me to play the mouth harp for you?
Now make sure you get some good.
Well, you just want to hand me that pipe. As soon as we get this wagon so we can, we got a trailer to put it on, so we'll move it right up. Oh, I think it's ready to pull off. Right up.
I'd like to ask thy guidance to be with us on this wagon train, that we may feel some of the adventures of our forefathers, that we may walk in their footsteps, that we may more appreciate this country and what it meant to them. Amen. Okay, let's get our luggage packed up and load our train. We're going.
The trip is sponsored by the Washington County 4-H. It's been 6 months in the planning. The 158 taking part in the 88-mile trip had to attend monthly training classes on everything from survival skills to repairing wagon wheels. It's a learning experience for young and old alike, as well as a time for families to communicate with each other away from the hustle and bustle of the 1980s. 75-year-old Art Haight is the oldest member of the wagon train, but he was as excited as the kids. So you're looking forward to it?
Have for weeks, months in fact. I think it'll be something that they'll be able to take with them for the rest of their lives. I really do. It's going to be something that I wish I could have done as a kid.
I'm going to walk the whole trip. I bet my dad $20 that I would do it.
I want to see if I have any pioneer heritage inside of me. I'm very much into the family that I had in the 1800s, and I'd really like to see that if their spirit is left in me.
Each member of the wagon train has a job. Sherry is one of the cooks. The modern-day pioneers are expected to consume 198 gallons of milk, 150 dozen eggs, 270 loaves of bread, and nearly 300 pounds of meat.
You like to cook? Not particularly.
Finally, it was time to head them out. Plans are to travel 7 to 8 hours a day. Each night, as they sit around the old campfire, guest speakers will talk about the area's history, and dancers from the Siletz Indian tribe will perform. The 88-mile trek through the back roads to Peninsula Bay near Tillamook is expected to take 7 days. The trip home...
Hello and welcome to Viewer's Digest. Say, have you ever dreamed of taking a trip across the mountains in a covered wagon like the pioneers did? Well, some people did just that this past month on a trip from Hillsboro to Tillamook, and it was just like a scene from the old TV show Wagon Train. We caught up with them en route to get their story. We all know the 7 stories on this week's Viewer's Digest, but let's get back to the Wagon Train. Why do they do it? Well, because they like to. It's fun to do things like they used to do it in the olden days. Also, it provides a wonderful opportunity for people, young and old, to experience a week of really roughing it, traveling by wagon train and camping out under the stars every night for a whole week.
This is a program of our 4-H program in Washington County, administered through Oregon State University. And we actually created the activity of a wagon train based on a long-range study we did in 1980. And the study was done to see how well we were meeting the needs of kids, primarily in Washington County. And as a result of that study, we found that our program was highly competitive, and it didn't have a lot to do with nature, and it was not family-centered. So based on that, we were able to create a program that's highly family-centered. There's very little competition here. It's almost the exact opposite, because everything's based on cooperation. In order for us to get over the mountain here in the next few days, we really have to cooperate. We really have to pull together. And today's kind of an example of that, because it's a little bit of adverse weather, of course, and so it makes things a little harder, like setting up camp tonight and actually traveling over the roads. The route primarily was from Hillsboro down through Cornelius, Forest Grove to Gaston, and then to the Flying M Ranch. And from the Flying M Ranch, we hit the old toll road. And that's the road we're on right now, is the old toll road. And we'll come into the Trask River campground. And from there, we'll go to Tillamook, from Tillamook to Bay Ocean. And this old toll road, by the way, was the main route from the valley over to the coast. And it was actually a private-owned road that people had to pay tolls to cross, thus the name toll road. We have really a mix of people on the train. There are 75 kids that are on the train, which is really what we're focusing on, though it's an adult educational program too. And we have people, some who are farmers, we have doctors, we have counselors, we have juvenile directors, nurses. Every walk of life, people are on the train. And it's really neat to see that blend. We're really enjoying that, getting to know each other. We have a lot of fun. We'll have fun there at the coast. The whole program is based on education. We had a lot of training programs since last fall. All these people have been involved since last fall, learning about how to work within a group, how to deal with conflict, how to make decisions. Then we had sessions on survival, camping skills, all those kind of basic things. And then we introduced everybody into the pioneering spirit of how to work with wagons and teams, and how to fix a wagon wheel, and how to grease wagons, and so on. And this year we've tested it more than we did last year, because we've already broke 3 tongues, and we broke one wagon apart. A reach pole underneath broke. And so we've had a lot of challenges on this trip, which has been real good. All of the people who are on the train are assigned to a family, and the families have different duties that they do every day, and then some duties that they do on a rotational basis. We have 2 fellows that are doing all the cooking for us. However, all the families take turns at doing the task of peeling potatoes and fixing the meals, serving the meals, and cleaning up afterwards. It varies from day to day. We have 160 people on the train, so there's absolutely no way they can sleep in the wagons. We've developed these shelters that you can see I'm putting up here now, and everyone sleeps under a shelter. Even when the weather's good, like last night and the night before, it was real nice, beautiful, splendid weather. But the dew is so heavy that this group gets up at 5:30 in the morning, and the dew is so heavy then that we'd be rolling up wet sleeping gear all the time. So we do sleep under shelters. We bed down right after our campfire program, and that's usually at dusk. Some stay up a little longer, and of course some are up all night because we have guard duties all night long, because we have 70 horses to watch too, and they're on picket lines and so on. So we have guards, you know, around all evening long, all night long. There's really some peculiar things that happen. Nothing real outstanding, I guess. Sometimes people are caught in and out of the wagons, and you notice that we have to pull biffies. Of course, taking an old-fashioned wagon train in 1983 changes it a bit. And one of the things that our permits have asked us to do is carry our own sanitation. And occasionally people are caught in the biffies when we take off. And that's always an exciting little adventure. This is the second year of it, so the word is now starting to spread. And this last year, we closed it in February, and we were hoping that we would cut back down to about 120 is what we'd like to target for it. But the interest is so high that people don't tend to drop out. But we do announce it in the fall through the newspapers and brochures and so on, and families and even individuals. Any adult who goes on the trip needs to sponsor a youth, however. But they are welcome to sign up. They can call our office anytime in the fall, and we'll give them the information. We're going to load all these wagons onto trailers and the horses in trucks, and we'll come right up the Wilson River Highway. Take us 7 days to get there and 2 hours to get back. I think this is one way to cram a whole month into 1 week, because the time you really slow down here, and it just seems like, you know, it goes real slow. And that's nice. That's nice.
Wagon Master Lyle Spieshart reported that there was a mishap when a harness broke on one of the wagons, but everyone is home now and doing well. Lyle's comment was that everyone reacted to the mishap in a real pioneer spirit. And of course, they're busy planning another wagon train trek next summer.
Well, up a motorcade on its way to the Oregon coast. No, you're not in the twilight zone. It is a wagon train. Sandy Poole reports.
For the next 6 days, these modern-day pioneers are taking a trip into the past. Over 88 miles of wilderness, these covered wagons and horses will carry 150 pioneers all the way from Hillsboro to the Oregon coast. It's the second year in a row the 4-H Club has organized a wagon train trip. As Carlton McCaslin puts it, the experience gives the pioneers a whole new perspective on life.
Out there, we're going back into country, much like the pioneers went through. We're going to see how they went through it, and we're going to try to leave it maybe a little better than they did. One of the models has been take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints, and we kind of want to live by that.
The 4-H Club has been working on the project since last January, planning food, collecting and rebuilding the wagons, mapping out the route. The wagon train plans to travel about 13 miles a day. At night, the group will circle the wagons, cook supper, and sleep out under the stars. If all goes as planned, the caravan will arrive at Ocean Bay next Friday. A little weary, perhaps, but undoubtedly with a new respect for their forefathers. In Hillsboro, Sandy Poole, Channel 2 News.
And finally tonight, the
I lived in Cottonwood and owned a little farm, but I was called to Dixie, which did me much alarm. To raise the cane and cotton, I right away must go, but the reason that they called on me, I'm sure I do not know. I yoked old Jim and Bally up all for to make a start. To leave my house and garden, it almost broke my heart. We moved along quite slowly and often looked behind, but the sands and rocks of Dixie kept running through my mind. At length we reached the Black Ridge where I broke my wagon down. I could not find a carpenter, we were 20 miles from town. So with a clumsy cedar pole I fixed an awkward slide. My wagon pulled so heavy then, that Betsy couldn't ride. While Betsy was walking, I told her to take care, when all upon a sudden she struck a prickly pear. Then she began to blubber out as loud as she could bawl. If I was back in Cottonwood, I would not come at all. And next we got to Washington, where we stayed a little while, to see if April showers would make the verger smile. But oh, I was mistaken, and so I went away, for the red hills of November look just the same in May. I feel so weak and hungry now, I think I'm nearly dead. 'Tis 7 weeks next Sunday since I've tasted bread. Of carrot tops and lucerne greens we have enough to eat, but I'd like to change my diet off for buckwheat cakes and meat.
This is the Ewing Young 4-H Pioneer Wagon Train. Dwight Zerschke's 19 fifth grade students at Ewing Young Elementary, along with 27 adults, traveled on a 4-day wagon train May 17th through the 20th, rain and shine. The train traveled from Cherry Grove to the Flying M Ranch, owned by Bryce Mitchell in rural Yamhill County. They set up their main campsite at the Flying M and took trips from there. Sunday, they traveled from the Flying M to Pike as the last leg of their journey. The wagon train is co-sponsored by the Washington County 4-H and the Newburgh School District.
Ye saints who dwell on Europe's shore, prepare yourselves for many more, to leave behind your native land, for sure God's judgments are at hand. For you must cross the raging main before the promised land you gain, and with the faithful make a start to cross the plains with your handcart. For some must push and some must pull as we go marching up the hill. So merrily on the way we go until we reach the valley of the land that boasts of so much light. We know they're all as darkest night, where poor men toil and want for bread, and rich men's dogs are better fed. The land that boasts of liberty you ne'er again would wish to see, when you from England make a start to cross the plains with your handcart. For some must push and some must pull as we go marching up the hill. So merrily on the way we go until we reach the valley of. As on the roads the carts were pulled, 'twould very much surprise the world to see the old and feeble dame thus lend a hand to pull the same. And maidens fair will dance and sing, young men more happy than a king, and children too will laugh and play, their strength increasing day by day. For some must push and some must pull as we go marching up the hill. So merrily on the way we go until we reach the valley of. For many more to leave behind your native land, for sure God's judgments are at hand. For you must cross the raging main before
George
the
Edwards and
promised
Chuck
land you
Cadell of
gain,
McMinnville and Lee
with
Carlson
the
of Buxton.
make a
Morris
start
Elverud
to
of Forest
cross the
Grove
plains with
drove
your
4 authentic covered wagons.
handcart. For some
Students and adults underwent classes sponsored by the Washington County 4-H under the leadership of Lyle Spieshart, instructing them on group dynamics, survival, food, clothing, equipment, and care of wagons and horses. Members who took their own horses participated in an outriders tryout in April.
Where poor men toil and want for bread, and rich men's dogs are better fed. The land that boasts of liberty you ne'er again would wish to see, when you from England make a start to cross the plains with your handcart. For some must push and some must pull, as we go marching up the hill, so merrily on the way we go, until we reach the valley.
Emphasis was on education. Accompanying the wagon train were 3 mountain men and 1 mountain woman who shared their knowledge of pioneer life. Additional instruction was given by Kate Kopenhauer, Ewing Young Principal, on stream biology, and by Jean Hoskin Ramrod on shelters and survival. Students were divided into wagon families of 5 students and 2 adults. Each wagon family shared responsibilities for gathering wood, feeding and caring for the animals, preparing meals, cleanup, and night watch, 1-hour shifts all night each night.
Marching up the hill, so merrily on the way we go, until we reach the valley.
And I can lick the rascal that yokes an ox of mine. He'd better turn him out, or you bet your life I try to maul him with an oxbow, root hog or die. I'll tell you how it is when you first get on the road. You've got an awkward team and a very heavy load. You've got to whip and holler if you swear it's on the sly. A bunch of teams along, boys, root hog or die. Oh, times on Bitter Creek, they never can be beat. Root hog or die is on every wagon seat. The sand within your throat and the dust within your eye. Bend your back and stand it too, root hog or die. When we arrived in Salt Lake, the 25th of July, people were surprised to see us come so soon. We are bold bullwhackers on whom you can rely. We're tough and we can stand it too, root hog or die.
Gay little song, whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, we trudge our way the whole day long. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, what though we're covered all over with dust? It's better than staying back home to rust. We'll reach Salt Lake someday or bust. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, there's a pretty little girl in the outfit ahead. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, I wish she was by my side instead. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, look at her now with a pout on her lips, as daintily with her fingertips she picks for the fire some buffalo chips. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, oh, tonight we'll dance by the light of the moon. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, to the fiddler's best and only tune. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy, holding her hand and stealing a kiss, but never a step of the dance we'll miss. Never did know a love like this. Whoa-ha, Buck and Jerry boy.
Oh, I'm the jolly driver on the Salt Lake City line. And I can lick the rascal that yokes an ox of mine. He'd better turn him out, or you bet your life I try to maul him with an oxbow, root hog or die. I'll tell you how it is when you first get on the road. You've got an awkward team and a very heavy load. You've got to whip and holler if you swear it's on the sly. A bunch of teams along, boys, root hog or die. Oh, times on Bitter Creek, they never can be beat. Root hog or die is on every wagon seat. The sand within your throat and the dust within your eye. Bend your back and stand it too, root hog or die. When we arrived in Salt Lake, the 25th of July, people were surprised to see us come so soon. We are bold bullwhackers on whom you can rely. We're tough and we can stand it too, root hog or die.
With a merry little jig and a gay little song, whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, we trudge our way the whole day long. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, what though we're covered all over with dust, it's better than staying back home to rust. We'll reach Salt Lake someday or bust. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, there's a pretty little girl in the outfit ahead. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, I wish she was by my side instead. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, look at her now with a pout on her lips, as daintily with her fingertips she picks for the fire some buffalo chips. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, oh, tonight we'll dance by the light of the moon. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, to the fiddler's best and only tune. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, holding her hand and stealing a kiss, but never a step of the dance we'll miss. Never did know a love like this. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy.
I'm the jolly driver on the Salt Lake City line, and I can lick the rascal that yokes an ox of mine. He'd better turn him out, or you bet your life I try to maul him with an ox bone, root hog or die. I'll tell you how it is when you first get on the road. You've got an awkward team and a very heavy load. You've got to whip and holler if you swear it's on the sly. A bunch of teams along, boys, root hog or die. Oh, times on Bitter Creek, they never can be beat. Root hog or die is on every wagon seat. The sand within your throat and the dust within your eye. Bend your back and stand it too, root hog or die. When we arrived in Salt Lake, the 25th of July, people were surprised to see us come so soon. We are bold bullwhackers on whom you can rely. We're tough and we can stand it too, root hog or die.
With a merry little jig and a gay little song, whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, we trudge our way the whole day long. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, what though we're covered all over with dust, it's better than staying back home to rust. We'll reach Salt Lake someday or bust. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, there's a pretty little girl in the outfit ahead. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, I wish she was by my side instead. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, look at her now with a pout on her lips, as daintily with her fingertips she picks for the fire some buffalo chips. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, oh, tonight we'll dance by the light of the moon. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, to the fiddler's best and only tune. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy, holding her hand and stealing a kiss, but never a step of the dance we'll miss. Never did know a love like this. Whoa, hop, Buck and Jerry boy.
How have you got the work here? Are you assigned certain things to do?
Yeah, they give us things to work on and everything.
Okay, what do you have to do? What's your job?
Brush the horses.
That's a fun one. Did you like them?
Yeah.
Did they get along? Were you brushing the big gray horses?
Yeah.
Oh, we got you. We've got you on...
I think. I don't know. No, I was brushing the brown horses.
Oh, the brown ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Too, and to make things worse, I had extra chores to do. Because the men in camp over 3 feet high or younger in years than 85 were all called to the Mormon Battalion. That left me.
Walking home,
walking home,
walking home,
walking home. Heading out to Zion, walking home.
walking, walking.
Well, I dressed and washed, then fried and ate, scoured the pans and packed a grate, harnessed the mules, and then I prayed. We started out, and bless old Beth stepped spur on my foot on purpose, I'd guess. Meanest tempered beast this side of the old Missouri. When I freed my foot, I had 3 crushed toes, and I was limping already from a nail in the sole of my worn-out waterlogged boot on my tender right foot. Well, we made good time till along the rise comes a swarm of angry Lamanites demanding food and blankets and horses, of course. Now, the women and the kids numbered 95, and someone had to keep them all alive. And, yep, you guessed it, brother. That left me.
Walking home,
walking home,
walking home,
walking home. Heading out to Zion, walking home.
walking, walking.
I spied Mary Ellen 3 wagons behind, and her pretty little face kind of warmed
Students
my mind
and
as I
parents
limped
have been
along the
involved
way
from the
beside
beginning
old
in
Beth.
November with planning the trip and raising the funds needed.
And I lost 5 pounds of honest
The
sweat.
goal of
Too hot for a
$2,000 was
blizzard
reached
to
by
stay
paper
alive.
drives, ice cream sales, school t-shirt sales, and the major fundraiser of a dessert box social and auction.
I felt a tug and the whole thing slid, and I was looking down at the face of this kid.
Hi.
What's your name?
Amber Philpott.
Amber.
He looked up at me with a serious face. How can you get the furnace?
Tell me, do you think it's going to
I
rain?
didn't have the heart to tell him.
Well, I don't know. Clouds above, but I don't know if it's going to rain or not.
Let's hope not, huh?
Yeah.
Well.
Well, I woke up early to the bugle call. It was a pitch black morning, mighty chilly too, and to make things worse, I had extra chores to do. Because the men in camp over 3 feet high or younger in years than 85 were all called to the Mormon Battalion. That left me.
Walking home,
walking home,
walking home,
walking home. Heading out to Zion, walking home.
Okay, well, did anything special happen to you along the way?
No, not really, but it was fun.
Did you walk most of it?
Yeah. Walked in.
So you're one of them with sore feet.
Yeah.
Good, good. Okay, thank you then.
On purpose, I'd guess. Meanest tempered beast this side of the old Missouri. When I freed my foot, I had 3 crushed toes, and I was limping already from a nail in the sole of my worn-out waterlogged boot on my tender right foot.
What's your name?
Well, we made good time.
Jennifer McCall.
You almost forgot your name, didn't you? Did you ride on the wagons or walk most of the time?
Walked mostly.
Did you? Did you get hot and tired?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think of the big horses?
Big.
Yeah, aren't they?
They're...
I spied Mary Ellen 3 wagons behind, and her pretty little face kind of warmed my mind as I limped along the way beside old Beth. But the day turned hot, my nose burned red, and I lost 5 pounds of honest sweat. Too hot for a horny-toed lizard to stay alive. Then the harness on Blackie broke clean through, so
Okay, what's your name?
Matt Mitchell.
You're Matt. Okay. What can you tell us about the wagon train, Matt?
It's really fun.
Okay.
It was a lot of work getting the... We just about didn't get to go because of the, we didn't get a road permit until just last minute. But it's been really fun.
See, maybe the pioneers might not have had that problem, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't know any roads to drive on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your name?
Kirsty.
You're Kirsty. Are you one that walked or rode most?
Rode.
In the wagon, huh? Which team were you behind?
Which team?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Which
the back
horses?
one. The way far back.
So clean through, teeth rattling, boots sloshing. There was Mary Ellen. Well, pushing our way to the highest ground.
Each student was responsible for researching the life of the early pioneer, writing reports which were shared with classmates, and constructing projects such as quilts, maps, leather tanning, model wagons, square dancing, and pioneer toys and games.
That left me walking home, on and on, heading out to Zion, walking home. Limped into camp, last again, my empty stomach growling like sin, so I fell to picking buffalo chips, of course. As I was heading back, I heard the gentle swish of a calico skirt. There was Mary Ellen coming straight toward me. Now, I'm not a man with a lot of pride, but I smelled like cow's milk buffalo hides. I was caked with mud from head to toe, limping, you remember, from a nail in my foot, 3 crushed toes, darn old Bess, and to top of it all, I'm carrying buffalo chips. What a fit! And that pretty Mary Ellen just blinking her eyes at me. Well, the wind came up and I started my fire, but the flour was wet and the meat was moldy and the water was slimy. It tasted like frogs and dust. Dropped down by the fire because my tent wasn't pitched and the wind was a-rattling and my stomach was growling and the chores needed doing, and that left me. Walking home, I'm walking home, heading out to Zion, walking home. And along comes Brother Bartholomew, whistling a tune I never knew, boots all black and a well-fed middle hanging over his belt. Albert, says he, all genuine concern, how'd your day go? Well, brother, that's a long story. You see, I woke up early to the bugle call. Pitch black morning, mighty chilly too, and to make things worse, I had extra chores to do. Because the men in camp over 3 feet high or younger in years than 85. Well, I woke up early to the bugle call. It was a pitch black morning, mighty chilly too, and to make things worse, I had extra chores to do. Because the men in camp over 3 feet high or younger in years than 85 were all called to the Mormon battalion. That left me. Walking home, heading out to Zion, walking home. Well, I dressed and washed and fried and ate, scoured the pans and packed a grate, harnessed the mules, and then I prayed. We started out, and bless old Bess kept spur on my foot on purpose, I guess. Meanest tempered beast this side of the old Missouri. When I freed my foot, I had 3 crushed toes, and I was limping already from a nail in the sole of my worn-out waterlogged boot on my tender right foot. Well, we made good time till along the rise comes a swarm of angry Lamanites demanding food and blankets and horses, of course. Now, the women and the kids numbered 9 to 5, and someone had to keep them all alive. And, yep, you guessed it, brother. That left me. Walking home, heading out to Zion, walking home. I spied Mary Ellen 3 wagons behind, and her pretty little face kind of warmed my mind as I limped along the way beside old Bess. But the day turned hot, my nose burned red, and I lost 5 pounds of honest sweat. Too hot for a horny-toed lizard to stay alive. Then the harness on Blackie broke clean through, so I ate cold beans and I worked all noon. As I was hooking the buckle like you have to do, I felt a tug and the whole thing slid, and I was looking down the face of this kid, Danny Briggs, 4 years old. He looked up at me with a serious face. I'm helping you get the harnessing place. And I didn't have the heart to tell him a scat. So the wagons pulled out and I fell in, laughed in line today again. Hot, thirsty, and hobbling on. With that sharp old nail still poking through the skin on my tender right foot shoe, and those 3 crushed toes, thanks to old Bess. Walking home.
I have some of the students from the school here. What's your name?
Michael Ebner.
Okay, Michael, let's hear some answers from you. What do you think of this deal?
I'm really excited about it because we'll have a nice learning experience about, how the pioneers came over from different states to Oregon.
Did your feet get sore yet?
Yeah.
Okay, what grade are you?
Everybody.
All of fifth grade,
yeah.
right. Okay, so everyone's a fifth grade. What's your name?
Aaron Fox.
Aaron. What do you think of it?
Well, I think it's great. I was really excited about when we heard, and I think Mr. Zersky, our teacher, deserves a lot of credit for thinking this and helping us.
That's really nice. Good deal. Have you had a chance to ride in the wagons? Did you ride?
I rode almost the whole way.
Oh, well, I won't ask you if you've got sore feet then.
I still do.
All right, what's your name?
Cherie.
Cherie what?
Fernandez.
Fernandez. Okay, come here. Don't move out of we keep you in here. Now tell me, how's your feet?
I rode in the wagon all day. Well, they're not tired.
Which team were you with?
I was the one with the band on it. It's the Young 4-H.
And which team of horses was that?
The black ones.
The black ones.
They're wild.
Were they a little, they really anxious to get here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you. Who?
I'm Allison Hunkins.
Okay, come on over close, Allison. We won't bite. What do you think of it?
I think it's great. It's just neat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good learning experience.
Give you an idea how the pioneers really had to make it, huh?
Yeah. Pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. And they really didn't have just a few miles to go every day. They had maybe lots of miles more ahead of them. Okay. Anything special? Did any of your impressions about the camp, or just how was it along the road? Was there any problems at all?
No, except for one of the wagons ran into another wagon.
Oh, well, that was a problem. Okay, thank you. Oh,
hi.
What's your name?
Maggie Walton.
This is Maggie. Okay. Well, what do you think?
I think it's pretty neat because I think the pioneers went through a lot of work to do this. It's pretty tiring to walk.
From their comments, it became obvious these youngsters learned firsthand about the sharing of responsibilities, the hard work and courage of the pioneers who came to the West in the mid-1800s, an experience they will long remember.
But spring with its smiling skies lends grace and cheer to the hosts within, and they tilled their fields with a newborn trust and the courage to fight and win.
There is a group of Washington County residents who are spending more than a week to travel from Hillsboro to the Oregon coast. Now, what's taking them so long is part of Jim Hyde's Passages story for today.
In the 19th century and in the movies, this is the way people came to Oregon.
Wagons ho!
Today, there are faster ways to reach the coast, but by riding with their families in authentic wagons over dusty mountain roads, these Washington County 4-H Club members can realize all they have missed on motorized trips. 85 people left Hillsboro on Saturday morning, and by Friday night, they'll be at Fort Clatsop near Astoria. But first, they must conquer the Coast Range. On the steep grades, frequent rest stops are necessary for the animals and the people.
I think what happens to us in the 1980s is we get very independent because of our mobility and everything. Whether we're young or old, we are extremely independent. This kind of program does not allow for that because we've really got to be a group and we have to pull together.
Lyle Speichert began organizing wagon train experiences 3 years ago as part of his job, OSU Extension Agent for Washington County. Planning for this year's trip began in January, with the work being divided among parents and children. And that system continues on the trail, with the wagon master, ramrod, cooks, and wranglers all having junior partners to learn the jobs and share the responsibility for making the train run smoothly. The wagons and draft horses are donated and usually driven by their owners, although anyone can get the hang of it after a little 19th century driver's training. The trip is first of all a lot of fun, but there is also time to think about where you are going and what it took for the original settlers to get to Oregon.
Real pioneers, all they had was the canvas of their wagon, and they could either sleep in the wagon or under it. And they went through snow and everything else. We kind of plan ours in the middle of the summer when we know the weather, and we've got radio contact with the Forestry Service and everything else. So we're just seeing a very, very small portion of what they had to go through.
This wagon made the journey from Illinois to the Oregon country 100 years ago this summer. Now fully restored, it's finally finishing the journey all the way to the Pacific Ocean with the 4-H wagon train.
What we can accomplish by this kind of an activity is bring people together in an environment that has a significant challenge to it, something that's fairly difficult to overcome, and help teach them to learn new things and to overcome that kind of challenge so that when they go back from a wagon train experience, they can integrate it into their life.
On the wagon road to Fort Clatsop, Jim Hyde, Channel 2 News.
I would take a pillow. Thanks for watching.
Embarking on a cross-country